This week's raising awareness of people with speech communication difficulties. In our family, my dad had his first stroke when I was 5 and almost made a full recovery in terms of his speaking, being able to read and write. A lot of people would have never known he had had a stroke in recent years. Just over a year ago he had a second stroke, and as a result of that has aphasia, so he has communication difficulties in terms of reading, writing, speaking. He, apart from just being able to say the odd word here and there and not always the right word for what he's wanting, he can't talk. He can only read a couple of words together, so his communication's limited. He really needs someone with him 24/7. He wouldn't be able to answer the phone or call for help. So whereas he used to enjoy anything involving reading, so reading the newspaper every day, reading books, reading on his Kindle, listening to music, a lot of those things have been he can't do now. He can read a few words together, so if you're getting him to make choices, he can choose from a list of a few words. As much as possible we try and get him to make choices for anything, what he wants or needs. Really important that the person with the communication difficulty is still given autonomy so that they're making the decisions. The person who's been impacted the most, as well as Dad obviously, is Mum. So she's his carer, so he's at home and she's with him pretty much 24/7. So whereas they used to go out to different groups and things, they don't do that the same. Mum and Dad's place would be where we would get together, and with the grandchildren and things, they used to really enjoy having everyone around. But now it's a lot easier to have conversations more one-to-one. So with lots of background noise and things, Dad would find that incredibly hard. It's had a huge impact on the grandchildren, so obviously they don't really understand why Granddad's changed and what the changes are, so they initially were quite scared, didn't know how to react to him. But over the last few months he's gained a lot more confidence, so he can interact with them a bit more, so that started making things easier. So although he can't talk to them, he can sort of give them a hug and they can sort of look at things together. Really important that the people who have a communication problem are still connected to people, that they're involved and that they don't feel isolated. So as much as possible try and still go and visit. And I could tell people in the community the 3 things that would help improve communication access. My first thing would be patient, so take the time to listen to people when they're talking. Especially with someone with aphasia, you have to speak very clearly and slowly, only say a few words at a time, wait for them to understand what you've said and make a response, however they will do that, and also expect to have to repeat yourself. Second thing would be understanding, so understand that intelligence is intact, it's a communication difficulty, and try and have some empathy or understanding for what it would be like to not be able to communicate at all. My third thing really is involve the person, so do what you would always have done, or what you do with anyone else. So still go and visit the person, give them a hug, shake their hand, say hello, give them a smile. If they can't talk back, still have a chat. They will love to hear what you've been up to and what you've been involved with, and just be connected and sharing time with someone. In terms of the medical profession, treat that person like your patient, so don't talk over them or do things without telling them what you're going to do. If family are there as support, you are still giving the care to that person with a communication difficulty, so don't just sort of work over top of them. About valuing your ability to speak and read and write, all those fundamental things. Realise how lucky you are to be able to do all those things we take for granted. Listen when people are speaking to what they have to say. Communication's a lot of a person's personality, the way they talk, the things they say, how you react to what they say. So often if they've got a sense of humour, an accent, and because when words are gone, there's a big gap that's left. There's a lot of silence, and don't let silence be something that's awkward. You can still be communicating with someone when you're sitting having a cuppa, going for a drive. You don't have to have constant chatter, you can still be together. Yeah, really treasure the time that people take to talk to you. Don't be put off if you are someone that has a communication difficulty. Seeing the amazing improvements Dad made after his first stroke, it was incredible how far he came. So if there's things you're struggling with, think that you can't do those things yet. Don't think that you can't do them. So believe that you have room to keep improving.